Hello everyone. Let's take a few minutes to sit back and listen to the top of the pile in theoretical physics.
What does a theoretical physicist do? Do you sit around all day and dream up new particles or fantasize about the beginning of the universe? How does it work?
All right, we're going to be designing an experiment to look for the annihilation spectrum resulting from dark matter collisions in space.
Ooh, dark matter. We better bring a flashlight. I was making a joke.
I'm the boss. I make the jokes.
Sorry, go ahead and make your joke.
This is not the time for joking. We're doing serious research which requires complete and utter focus.
All right, let's buckle down and work. Sheldon?
What?
I need an aspirin.
Top desk drawer.
Thank you.
All right?
Yes.
Usually in science, if we're off by a factor of 2 or a factor of 10, we call that horrible. We say something's wrong with the theory. We're off by a factor of 10. However, in cosmology, we're off by a factor of 10 to the 120. That is 1 with 120 zeros after it. This is the largest mismatch between theory and experiment in the history of science.
In science, we always say that you make observations, you have a theory, you go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork. It's guesswork. It's guesswork. In science, we always say that you make observations, you have a theory, you go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork. It's guesswork. It's guesswork. In science, we always say that you make observations, you have a theory, you go make more observations, and it's a very, very tedious process. Wrong. Nobody that I know of in my field uses the so-called scientific method. In our field, it's by the seat of your pants. It's leaps of logic. It's guesswork. It's guesswork. It's guesswork.
Largely what I read outside the curriculum. The curriculum I found rather boring, and I never did well in physics in school. I never got a prize for my physics. So by the time I finished high school, I'd come to the conclusion that I wasn't, after all, going to follow in my father's footsteps and become an engineer, because I had no signs of practical skills. And what's more, it was becoming evident that I had not enough practical skills to be an experimental physicist. So what was left for me? I had to be a theoretical physicist.
And it's all because of gravity. The same thing that keeps our feet firmly rooted to the floor. With gravity, the bigger the mass, the stronger the attraction. Essentially a geometric theory of gravity, which is that there isn't really a force of gravity at all.
Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. Maybe that's the best way to put it.
I have 12 citations here that say the opposite. From George Musser, Scientific American, November 2015. Einstein created his general theory of relativity, which provides our modern understanding of gravity with the express purpose of expunging non-locality from physics. Isaac Newton's gravity acted at a distance as if by magic, and general relativity snapped the wand in two by showing that the curvature of space-time, and not an invisible force, gives rise to gravitational attraction. Citation number 2 from Caltech. Einstein came up with the theory of general relativity in 1915, the prototype of all modern gravitational theories. Its crucial ingredient, involving a colossal intellectual jump, is the concept of gravitation not as a force, but as a manifestation of the curvature of space-time. Brian Cox, there isn't really a force of gravity at all. George Musser, 2019, gravity is not a force, but you can think of it as a force. From their alma mater wiki, gravity is most accurately described by the general theory of relativity proposed by Albert Einstein in 1915, which describes gravity not as a force. From the universe today, in general relativity, gravity is not a force between masses. Strictly speaking, gravity not as a force. From Phys.org, according to this theory, gravity is not a force. From New Scientist, so although the Earth appears to be pulled towards the sun by gravity, there is no such force. From Phys Libre Text, the answer is that gravitation is not a force between two objects, and the physics hypertext book, gravity isn't a force.
The Earth isn't flat. And by the way, this is called gravity.
No, it ain't, Tyson. That's called relative density disequilibrium. Who picked that mic up to start with? Who took that mic out of equilibrium, picking it up, gave it force, and then used force to let it go? You fucking prat. And if Earth ain't flat, show us a geometrical curve, you freaking moron. Thanks for watching. These are just a few scumbags from MSU, Make Shit Up University. They flunked badly. Total scumbags, dreamers and talkers. That's all they do, make shit up. Thanks, see you again next time.